this unit, we shall discuss methods, tools of modern technology that have changed the oldest carbon system and environment of business. Now, all companies must take into consideration the current access of information and realize that nothing will go unnoticed. Because of the growth in organizations, companies must be concerned not only with how things are, but also how they will appear. Effective communication is your key to dealing with these issues. Objectives. After studying this unit, you will be able to understand the use of modern technology, acquire the history of technology, define the management information inside and outside the organization, explain the use of new technologies like internet, email, faxes, and so on. Manage the crisis in communication. Managing information within an outside organization. Because of rapidly changing technological developments, business managers now have to know something about information technology in order to manage it as effectively as they manage people and products. In the beginning of information explosion, this was not true. Technical specialists and consultants handled all the necessary details and problems. But with the changes brought about by personal computers and individual access to information anywhere in the world, information technology is now everyone's business. As future business leaders, you will need to understand and manage the transitions in business operations. According to some researchers, the problem is not very technical since the technology itself has become increasingly easier to use, but rather organizational because new structures must be set up to manage information in a world forever changed by it. Those of you who can enter the global marketplace with knowledge of information technology and an ability to manage changes will be successful business leaders of the 21st century. Managing information inside and outside organizations has become one of the major concerns of business. Today, businesses face many challenges in handling new technologies, in managing their information for greatest productivity inside the organization, and in communications with the media outside. Email and internet will continue to grow in use and in utility as new ways of exchanging information. Other communication technologies like voicemail, groupware, CD-ROM databases, teleconferencing, and faxes are also used by business organizations for managing information within the organization. These communication technologies are discussed in detail in this unit. Managing information outside the organization means how to deal with the news media, how to create tools for managing corporate news, and how to control public company crises. History and role of technological developments. 19th century developments such as the telegraph and telephone marked the beginning of the rapid growth in information technology. In 1960s, some companies became attracted to computer technology to handle data processing. Computers used by these companies were huge mainframes. Programming had to be done from scratch because there was no packaged software, and computer programmers were often people with no expertise in business owned the technology. By 1970s, more people had computer terminals that had access to central information on large mainframes. Some packaged software was developed. However, computers were expensive and costs rose as companies without clear needs for them were persuaded to invest in information technology. Transformation of telecommunications in the 1980s with the development of fiber optics, local area networks, and satellite technology along with more powerful computers facilitated the growth of information technology in organizations. Organizations now have laptop computers, desktop publishing capabilities, electronic spreadsheets, and word processing programs to gather, store, and communicate information. In this global world, the role of new technology in business communication is very vast. In business, the new technology helps and supports the business fields. The businessmen save time, money, and spade work through new technology. It means that by incurring less cost, more information can be sent or received in no time. New technologies such as email, voicemail, internet, groupware, CD-ROM, databases, teleconferences, faxes and telexes helps managing information within the organizations as well as outside the organizations. Now, we explain the role of each new technology in business communication today. Internet. Internet is a large group of computer networks connecting individuals and groups to services and information throughout the world. It started as a tool to let the scientists and researchers share expensive computer resources. In the last several years, the Internet has grown into something far larger, more diverse, and more unpredictable. It connects government, the military, educational institutions, companies and individuals to services and information throughout the world. The Internet was intended to be used for academic and research purposes. However, about 63% of the networks worldwide are registered to corporations whose primary use is electronic mail. The Internet is growing phenomenally with about 150,000 new members joining each month. To help you understand how an Internet connection facilitates research by college faculty, consider this scenario. With an Internet connection and the Internet address of other users, you can collaborate with students in your class or other universities in a similar way. Accessing the vast amount of information on the Internet and sending electronic mail messages and computer files to students involved in a class project will speed up research time and provide timely, relevant information that should lead to a better project. Online library catalogs and other databases. Many libraries now provide online databases of their card catalogs and indexed material. Rather than searching laboriously through card catalog drawers or individual indexes, you can conduct an electronic search using terminals in the library or in computer labs on campus. If the library permits, you may also connect with the library database from your computer at home or some other location using communication software and a modem. Online information services. People use online services for two basic purposes: to communicate with others and to obtain information. The communication aspect involves sending electronic messages and computer files across the world, participating in discussion groups or forums to get answers to questions and to benefit generally from the information generated by a group interested in a specific interest, or browsing occasionally through the network news generated by other discussion groups to read the latest discussions in these areas. The quest for information involves downloading software available on the service, accessing vast amounts of information from a wide range of sources. Using a modem, the appropriate communication software, and an assigned password, you can obtain information from around the world by subscribing to the Internet or a commercial online service. Commercial online information services. Private information services are another means for accessing business information quickly and relatively inexpensively. The 5 major national commercial information services are: all of these networks share a monthly fee for basic services and may add hourly charges for other services. Some charge for each electronic mail message. The information services contain information on general news, stocks, financial markets, sports, travel, weather, and a variety of publications. Some allow you to retrieve the full text. An online encyclopedia is a standard service. One service updates its encyclopedia quarterly to keep it current. A clipping service that finds all articles on a specific topic from the various news services is graphs on personal computers. Graphic design principles. Type, design and graphics introduce new considerations that were once the concern of only graphic artists or typesetters. Desktop publishing puts a very useful tool in the hands of the untrained user. Unfortunately, the results often show the lack of training. By following some simple principles of design, however, the budding desktop publisher can effectively use the tools at his or her disposal. Keep it simple. The more variety included on a page, the more difficulty the reader will have in following the message. Restricting the document to no more than 2 or 3 typefaces and just a few special effects is often the best approach. Keep it consistent. Treat comparable elements in the same way. All the headlines in a newsletter with 5 articles should be in the same typeface and style. Save special treatments for material that is special. Let form follow function. A document should be styled in such a way that it looks like what it is. A purchase order need not be elegant. The menu of an expensive restaurant should look more dignified than the price list of a dry cleaning service. Email and other technologies for communication. Computers have added another kind of communication to the practice of business electronic communications. You have already seen that a modem can link someone with a personal computer to a large database, allowing the computer user to access important and up-to-date information such as stock and bond prices. Computerized communications can also link individuals in other ways. Electronic mail. Offices use a number of traditional methods for sending a document depending on the time constraints and the cost of the method. Postal services can be relied on for 2 to 4 day delivery or overnight service within the country. Many private carriers provide overnight or second day service. For messages that must be sent faster than those methods can manage, electronic mail is used. Electronic mail, or email as it is often called, is most commonly defined as person-to-person communication in which the transmission and receipt of the message takes place through a computer. Electronic mail can be used to distribute memos, reports and documents without sending them through the mail room. Email helps solve the problem of telephone tag. Approximately 70% of business telephone callers do not reach the person they called on the first try. With electronic mail, the caller simply keys in a message and sends it to an electronic mailbox. Receivers are notified that a message awaits them and they respond to the caller as soon as the message is read. When it is delivered and read quickly, electronic mail can be almost as convenient and articulate as a personal conversation. Email systems that operate on a company's existing computer system are relatively inexpensive. When a single message is sent to several recipients, the savings are even greater compared with the cost of traditional communication methods. For example, suppose the Vice President of Production must inform 6 regional sales managers located in offices across the country that they must postpone sales of a particular model immediately because of complaints of defective workmanship. Obviously, timely delivery is a critical factor because the purpose of the message is to prevent the shipment of any more orders. Mail service is too slow and the telephone system is inconvenient because the regional offices are located within several time zones. In fact, some offices have already closed for the day. Email is the appropriate medium for this message. With only a few keystrokes, the Vice President sends one electronic message that reaches all managers instantly. Voicemail. Voicemail records messages on a computer disk. The message is then delivered to the person or list of persons you are calling. Recipients can retrieve messages when they return to the office or dial in from remote locations to listen to their messages. Facsimile Machine. A facsimile machine or a fax is a flexible and inexpensive form of electronic mail. A fax machine reads the document that has been inserted into the machine and transmits the document, text, pictures and graphics over telephone lines to another fax machine that receives the message and prepares a printed copy of the document. Because increasing numbers of companies of all sizes are using fax machines, entrepreneurs are putting fax machines that take credit cards into airport lounges, hotel lobbies and convention centers. To use them, you simply insert your credit card in the machine, dial the number you want to reach and send your document. The advantage of fax transmission is speed. For example, a high-speed fax machine can transmit a page in about 20 seconds. Improved machines offer print quality comparable to that of a copy machine. In addition, fax machines are easy to operate. Because they can be programmed, the cost of transmission can be cut by sending a message in evening hours to take advantage of lower telephone rates. Sending faxes also facilitates communicating with people in different time zones. Telecommuting. Telecommuting allows individuals to work in their homes and use electronic mail to transmit work from their homes to the office. The major advantages of telecommuting are the reduced time and expense of commuting and the increased flexibility of working hours. Rather than spending 2 to 3 hours a day commuting to work in an urban area, employees use a modem, telephone lines and a remote workstation to transmit their work electronically. Memos, reports, even entire books can be transmitted in this way. In addition, practitioners from various disciplines are using modems and telephone lines to transmit information quickly and cost-effectively. For example, accountants transmit income tax returns to the Internal Revenue Service. Private investors transmit investment transactions to stockbrokers. Sales representatives calling on customers in remote locations transmit orders to the home office to facilitate quick delivery and foster good customer relations. Professionals working away from their offices, for example, in clients' offices or other remote sites, transmit information back to their offices. For instance, an engineer transmits detailed production information so that personnel in the home office can begin analyzing the data. Auditors transmit financial information collected while working in clients' offices to expedite completion of the final audit report. Transmitting information and computing from remote locations have become more prevalent because of the availability of laptop and notebook computers. Laptops, which are about the size of a large book, and smaller notebook computers give professionals access to computing power regardless of where they are, hotel room, airplane, taxi or client's office. These portable systems are battery operated and generally contain secondary storage, a floppy disk drive, a hard disk drive or both, a screen and a keyboard. Managers use portable computers for two major reasons. 1. To make every minute of a busy schedule count. And 2. To generate and communicate up to the minute information without returning to their desktop computers. Cellular telephones. Cellular telephones, often called mobile phones, are cellular radios that transmit messages over airwaves. Cellular telephones are a powerful communication tool, especially for managers who are on the move and must stay in immediate reach of the home office at all times. The increased productivity resulting from the more efficient use of time justifies the use of cellular service. Cellular telephones also help managers stay in closer contact with co-workers and with current and prospective clients and customers. Quick, courteous responses build strong interpersonal relations, which in turn lead to increased employee commitment and an edge over competitors. As cellular service expands to reach remote areas as well as urban areas, cellular telephones will soon become a standard business tool. Electronic meetings. Teleconferences and videoconferences are alternatives to face-to-face meetings that allow several people at different locations to communicate electronically. These electronic conferences can eliminate or reduce the high costs of face-to-face meetings, travel, hotels, food, and time lost in transit. Teleconferences. Two-way electronic communication between two or more groups or three or more individuals who are in separate locations includes group communication via audio, audiographs, video, and computer systems. A telephone conference call in which several people in different geographic locations are on the same line at the same time is an example of teleconferencing. Teleconferences facilitate decision-making because in any decision, all are involved in the discussion. Videoconferences. The video conference takes advantage of all media. Audio, graphics, and video speakers provide the audio feedback. Facsimile devices send graphics and cameras transmit the video portion of the conference in a specially equipped room. Participants engage in group discussions while observing one another's facial expressions and gestures. Some personal computer companies have introduced inexpensive personal desktop video conferencing systems that allow users to hold electronic meeting and share and annotate files and images across existing local area networks and telephone lines in real time. Desktop video conferencing restores the non-verbal elements of interpersonal communication that are lost over the telephone and is more personal than a disembodied voice at the other end of a telephone line. Using collaborative software with the desktop technology, users in remote locations can see each other as they work together on computer files, share text files, graphics, and images at the same time. For example, an engineer in one location can share design diagrams with a marketing associate at a distant site, allowing the two to collaborate on the design without traveling. An ad agency and the client make changes on proposed ads. A doctor sends an X-ray to a remote expert, gets an option, and saves lives. As the cost of video conferencing capability declines, electronic meetings will become a common communication medium. Oral communication, especially within small groups, will be critical to interacting effectively in this environment. Guidelines for communicating electronically. Electronic communication, including voicemail, is a handy way to communicate quickly and conveniently with another worker or with a database. Problems can arise if the system is used inappropriately or if messages are too long or poorly organized. The following guidelines will help you use electronic communication effectively. Send messages on electronic systems that are related to business. Keep the message highly professional, giving the caller a clear indication of when you will return the call. Do not flood the system with junk mail. If the system is clogged with unnecessary messages that the receiver feels compelled to answer, productivity will be lost, not gained. Be conscientious in checking and responding to electronic messages to avoid missing important information needed to complete your assignments. Remember, you are responsible for the content of an email message. If a person denies commitments made via email, someone involved may produce a printed copy of the email message in question as verification. Read each message very carefully before you send it. Avoid sending confidential information because the security of email is low compared with other media. Decide whether the electronic system is an appropriate channel for your message. These systems are intended for information typically sent through printed memos, not for formal communication such as performance appraisals or disciplinary action. Organize your message carefully, just as you would a traditionally prepared message. For example, describe the nature and purpose of an upcoming meeting before giving the specifics, date, place, time. Avoid lengthy, detailed information. Lengthy messages are likely to become distorted and thus cause costly delays and mistakes. Changing the organizational structure. Communication technology has loosened the strings that bind the traditional company together. In many firms, it is no longer necessary for co-workers or even entire departments to be in a single location. Telecommuting lets people work where it is more convenient for them, whether at home, in a suburban satellite office, or on the road. Improving profits. Communication technology can boost profits directly because it costs less for people to produce and distribute messages and documents. It can improve profits indirectly by making a company more competitive, say by searching databases to uncover a new market opportunity. Isolating people with no access to technology. Businesses and individuals who don't have email, faxes, or other technological tools tend to be left out of the communication flow. This presents a challenge to young people who lack experience with communication technology but who are applying for jobs that require some knowledge of it. Increasing the pressure to perform. Email, faxes, and other technologies that spend up and extend the reach of business communication can increase the pressure on those people who use them. From home computers to car phones to portable fax machines, technology can make it easy to feel that you're always plugged in and that you are expected to respond instantly to every message that comes in, whether you're at home, on a business trip, or on action. Legal and ethical implications of technology. Computer technology, like any other invention, has the potential to exalt or debase the people who use it. However, it is our responsibility to ensure that information technology and the information it handles are used to enhance the dignity of mankind. This discussion will focus on issues related to privacy and accessibility, property rights, and accuracy. Privacy and accessibility. Technology threatens our privacy, our right to be left alone, free from surveillance or interference from other individuals or organizations. Common invasions of privacy caused by technology include collecting excessive amounts of information for decision-making, maintaining too many files, monitoring the exact time employees spend on a specific task, and supervisors or co-workers reading other employees' electronic mail and computer files. Although an individual may have authorized the collection of the individual information, merging the information may reveal things the individual may want to remain private. Fair Information Practices Principles. Fair Information Practices, FIP, form the basis of 13 federal statutes, ensure the security and integrity of personal information collected by governmental and private agencies. Look at these principles carefully. There should be no personal record systems whose existence is secret. Individuals have rights of access, inspection, review, and amendment to systems that contain information about them. There must be no use of personal information for purposes other than those for which it was gathered without prior consent. Managers of systems are responsible and can be held accountable and liable for the damage done by systems and for their reliability and security. Governments have the right to intervene in the information relationships among private parties. Despite this federal legislation and state laws passed to enhance and strengthen it, most Americans feel they have less privacy today than ever. As one example, consider the privacy of email messages. Many firms claim they have the right to monitor the electronic mail of their employees because they own the facilities and intend them to be used for job-related communication only. On the other hand, employees expect that their email messages would be kept private. However, the Electronic Communications Privacy Act, ECPA, of 1986 favors employers. Employers may read their employees' mail as long as the monitoring is done in the ordinary course of the employer's business. Communication monitoring is permissible with the express or implied consent of one of the parties to the conversation. As you collect and access information, adopt the following ethical practices. Collect only information that is needed as opposed to what you would like to know. Develop and use safeguards for the security of information and instill in data handlers the values of privacy and the importance of confidentiality. Require employees to use passwords to gain access to the system and enforce routine changes of passwords on a periodic basis. Also, provide guidance in assigning a password that cannot be easily broken.